Alright, Chapter 11 Pre Engineered Structure, Short Airfield, and Tacticals for Tactical Support. Alright, Short Airfield Tactical Support, or SATAS, rapidly construction expeditionary airfield that can be erected within the battle area to provide air support for the amphibious Marine Corps forces. Any land and sea military contingency operation rapidly assembly with a temporary airfield provides ground units for the disadvantaged continuous air support on foreign soil. Because of this, Marine Corps have been trying several types of expeditionary airfields since early in World War II. Initial research used the wooden planking for the runway surface. Later, during Korean conflict, aircraft actually landed on pure steel mats known as Martin's matting. One or more information of the short field airfield tactical support, research and development short expeditionary landing field or south bulk predecessor of the short airfield tactical support was 4,000 feet of runway for the service as landing area with the early expeditionary arresting operation. Marine Corps Corps have successful the M2 mobile arresting gear or MOREST. However, the weight of this gear is 74,000 pounds, discreet and useful of the portable unit. In 1965, the commandment of the Marine Corps established the specification of development of portable expeditionary airfield. The proposed airfield was to be 1,000 feet long, construction completed in 5 days, capable of accommodating one squadron aircraft for 30 days. Additional, the Marine Corps required the field to be designed to allow both launch and recovery arresting operations. Standard include the development of the land-based catapult of lighter arresting gear to replace the M2 mobile arresting gear. In 1958, runway specification expanded 2,000 feet and received the short air technical support designation. However, because of the catapult arresting gear that are no longer available in the advanced base functional component systems are not discussed in this chapter. Because steelworkers are assigned to crews assigned to place airfield matting, we'll discuss the importance of the short airfield tactical support. Also, proper placement of the AM2 mating are discussed, and information also provided for the installation, repair, removal of the AM2 matting. Parts of the short airfield tactical support. A short airfield tactical support incorporates a number of parts will attempt to cover the parts of the short air tactical support installation, but will not cover enough to make you familiar with the function. Will cover enough to make you familiar with the function of each major part of the short air tactical field and an effective system. The AM2 matting. The AM2 mat is a fabricated aluminum panel 1.5 inches thick containing the hollow extruded one-piece main section with the extruded end connectors welded to each end of the mat. So I also have fabricated in two 3-piece panel extrusions that the welded longitude of the same size shape that has the one-piece extrusion. The AM2 mat comes in full sheet with a half sheet with the painted Marine Corps green. Top surface coated with the non-skid material with the same color of the runway's taxiway. The mats are installed with a brickwork type of the pattern circuit joint arrangement provides required stability across the runway and the necessary flexibility with the direction aircraft travel. Show AM2 mat figure 1-1 show the end connection prongs, end connections prongs up and down. The female edge and the male edge in section BB. The size of the mat panel constructed with the interlock rotating motion. The end connectors arranged with the prongs one end up and down on the other. The section AB placing the end connector one mat properly over the end connected to the previous mat. You can form a continuous layer of matting and flat bar locking inserted with the slot column of the two mats to form a non-separable joint. Physical characteristics of the AM2 matting are shown in table 11.1. AM2 mats are packed into a standard pallet storage shipment in one pallet assembly design. The FL11 consists of 11 full-length mats, 2 half-length mats, and 3 locking bars. The other mallet pallet designed for the F-15 contains 6 full-length mats, 4 half-length mats, 20 locking bars, figure 11.3. The pallets are fabricated in frames that are held together in rods and strapping. The end of the frames fit within around the ends of the mats, becoming the storage place for locking bars. Quantity of the mats found with the standard pallet assembly F-11 provided the width of a 4 feet runaway taxiway, 70 feet wide, for which other than 7 feet with a more or less coverage in terms of the strip length that obtains into the parking and storage area that need not to have the specific pattern as required on runways, taxiways. Extra full-length mats that result from the runway construction may be used in those areas. Use a guide rail, any other key locks will not affect the amount coverage of any greater extent. Alright, installation. Steel workers can be assigned with the placing AM2 mat with the airfoil source, therefore need to be familiar with the procedure to use the installing mats. Primary operation on site with the preparation, pallet stacking, pallet staging, or also discuss additional information, manpower requirements, organized structure of the installation crew is presented. Site preparation. The soil and sub-base material of the site selected with the airfield tactical support field must be suitable within the AM2 landing mats. Some base material must have the minimum compaction of 95%. Of the engineering staff will provide you with further guidance based on their analysis of the soil type and available base material. Operation of the part of the site preparation must be completed before the mats are installed as follows. One of the terrain area of the BU that must be cleared level to provide a designated compaction matting base. Grading must provide adequate drainage for the water area from the field. Area of the soil must be disturbed as little as possible. They obtain the prescribed finish for the operations will provide a soil have the maximum bearing capacity to the soil in any area under the matting requiring insulation for the drain pipes. The other objects must be backfilled thoroughly and compacted. Figure 11.1's physical characteristic AM2 matting: weight, length, width, weight for square foot coverage, locking bars, length, width, and depth, one piece main extrusion, two piece mat. Alright, show the AM2 full length pallet, lengths of the mats, 11 per pallet, lifting eye, half length meets, mats, and tie rods, blocking, locking boards, locking pin, flat plate pin, end frame, bolt torque, jam nut, well, wood fillers. And then show the end frame, tie rod, jam nut, bolt and base, boss, detail A rod, tie rod connection, and detail B tie rod connection, end frame, locking pin, tie rod, flat head pin. Final grading of the operation must be adequate level so the plate would lay not very more than 1/4 inch in height with a 12-foot distance. Hand raking is necessary. Hand raking is necessary for the removal of the small rocks over the debris that would hinder the task as well as connecting the mats. Overall field configuration must be stacked out in entirety. Accurate longitudinal transverse center lines established to ease the staging of the pallets when no guide rail is used, but lateral runaways that must be accurately marked to ensure smooth linear edges to which lay the mat field of the layer line edges from the runway determined by the using transit marking clearly with the chalk line or stakes. This type of survey is also required when the taxiway and parkways are installed. When a guide rail is installed, only center line of the guard rail is established by transit. No site preparation may not be required if there is existing concrete, asphalt runway because of the matting can be laid over the existing hard surface. Palleting staging. Under combat contingency operation, pallets must be staged in a manner to keep manual handling in a minimum. Additional staging should be minimized, allowable equipment and manpower coupled with the consideration climatic conditions with the construction start. Different methods of the staging with the pallets, the most efficient method of staging. Shows the strapping half-length mats at 6 foot, full-length mats 12 foot, 16 per pallet, wood filler, long locking bars 20 per pallet, end frame. Pallets, rough terrain forklifts method the most efficient because the torque lift can deliver the pallets directly with the matting lane crews for the disassemble the pallets on the forklift. Pellet disassembly done at the work area rather than storage point because of the mats are dropped and damaged while they may be being moved. If uncrated and moved, the loose configuration forklift remains unsettled until the pallet has been installed. The method to presume the adequate number of forklifts are available to resupply. Lane crews continuously round trip type between the work area of the pallet storage area must be considered to keep the working flow smoothly and completed in a time manner. Primary rough terrain forklift used in the annual construction force 4K rough terrain fork diesel engine driven itself and contain material handling vehicle 4K forklift designed primarily the rough terrain handling warehousing material. 4K forklift can lift the carry loads up to the maximum 40,000 pound capacity. Ideal equipment to staging pallets. Hydraulically operated forklift mechanism mounted on extreme front vehicles, easing, lifting, reaching, tilting, sliding loads of the material during material handling operations. The AM2 matting is palletized configuration vulnerable to damage result of the improper handling. Lifting eyes contained with the pallet frames receive the shifting lifting hooks. Under no circumstances should a choker type sling be used. They cover the damaged mating side connectors. Normal cargo handling precautions must be used during the AM2 assembly handling. Show the 4K rough terrain forklift. Pallet components are vulnerable to damage or misuse of the tools of cutting, torch, and bolts and cutters and sledgehammers. Therefore, extreme care must be used during the pallet disassembly. No spare components are packed in the pallet. Install crew. Field experience with each type 16-man crew provides maximum efficiency, flexible layout. A runway is 96 feet inland width. Two crews may be inlay runaway at additional crews for laying over the simultaneously. Type of the crew for the 16 would include one petty officer in charge, one alignment person, two pry bar crew members, and 12 or 6 two-person teams meeting mat installation personnel. Alignment person ensure the field aligned with adjusting first mat that each of the transverse rows of the flush is preserved. Pre-surveyed laterally boundary before the rest of the matches that in the row are laid. Primary crew members, pry bar crew members adjust the individual mats by pry bar to provide maximum allowance for the thermal expansion and serve the matting and locking bars. Installation person working with a partner is taking a mat with a pellet carrying an installation point so that it installed in the mat in place. Short airfield tactical support field installation sequence. Sequence of laying the matting of the runway with guide rail. Catapult system is not required and is not the same manner runaway with the guide rail is required in figure 11 and 5. Shows you what guide rail. Then we'll quickly go over to 11 and 5 guide rail. Shows the dowel pin adjusting slot and the dowel pin stowed position. Looks like with a catapult facility is used within the short aircraft tactical support installation guide rail is needed to provide stability with the dolly with the aircraft during the launch. Guide rails are supplied 9 and 10 foot lengths, so that has connections on both sides to the mating end connectors. 1/8 of an inch rubber seal with installation between each section and provide with thermal expansion to prevent debris and soil from coming up between rail section dowel pins are used between two holes of the mating edge over the guardrails to maintain alignment of the section. The guide rail is installed concurrently with the mat field and same with the matting and locking bars are used to secure it into the mats. Note for the catapult arresting system is now available with the ABFC system. However, it was originally designed with the ABFC system and can be used in the future. Therefore, information guide rails is provided. Alright, this shows AM2 mat installation sequence with the guideline. General purpose sequence of laying mat. Any of the line extension of the wear of the guide rail is not required to strip the transverse center line. Work toward each of them simultaneously. Starter key locker sections laid with the individual mats are laid in a brickwork type. The pattern left right when facing the work area with the light right sequence is dictated in the mat lock. Design with such in reversing proceed with the difficult inefficiencies coded sideways with the interlocking prongs on the 2-foot edge of the always right up the survey lines are present to guide at least one edge of the section being laid to maintain proper longitudinal alignment. Other sections site may be laid in same reamer, same time with survey line, but they have established pallet staging has been accomplished. Sufficient personnel that are available. The typical key lock section is laid every 100 foot, starting with a 100-foot marker on either side of the starter key lock. The general sequence of laying of the matting over this runway with the guide rail installed with the starting of the one end of the approaching apron with a work over the opposite end. The guide rails divide the runway into two sections, 18 feet and 78 feet, or 18 and 30 feet with a 48-foot runway. Individual mats are laid in the brickwork type pattern from the guide rail to outer edge of the section facing the work. The start key lock is not used laying a runway with a guide rail. Instead, typical key locks are laid in a 100-foot intense runway. Other section that is short airfield tactical support field are laid explained in the previous paragraph. Be sure to inspect the visual sides and end connectors. AM2 matting flooring matter before placing them in position. Present the dirt shape of the stones can be also prevent proper interlocking over the maps. Brooms and brushes can be used to clean flooring matter on the connectors. Mat laying procedure without guide rail. Sequence installing AM2 mat. Sequence of installing AM2 mats or related components of the guide rail is not required and shown in figure 11.6. The sequence are notified so the work is only in one row. Mats are given the time. However, the speed of the installation is important. Sequences shown in figure 11.6 all allows you with at least 2 crews and 6 2-man teams. Each crew carrying placemats and key locks. And placing AM2 mats should have 3 key locks. Starter and typical female. Should step-by-step place an AM2 mat. Starter key lock of an arrow that is used to decrease the runway installation time by approximately 1/2. Previous installation method required assembly the runway in one extremity working to the other. Start key is installed in the middle of the runway only. Enables 2 matting laying teams to start together working simultaneously toward each of the end of the runway. Such start keys locks are furnished with 3-foot 9, 12-foot lengths Allows staggering joints, matting patterns. The star key lock is coated with a non-skid material but does not use the insulation half of the guide rail. Figure 11 sevenths of the start key lock, the male connector connecting bar, male connector socket head screws. Typical key lock, figure 11 and 8, inserted 100 feet with a pattern permitting for the easy removal section, mating of the multi-mat replacement. For this reason, only the maximum 50 feet of any one section needed to remove the replacement, but could not economically be replaced in individual units. Placement mat. Typical key locks are furnished 3 foot, 9 foot, and 12 foot lengths to allow staggering joints with matting patterns. Typical key lock is coated with a non-skid material. Female key lock, figure 11-9, is used to join two adjacent male maps. Female key lock is coated with a non-skid material. Shows 11-9 shows the female key lock, socket head screws, female connector connecting your bar. Steps for laying an AM2 mats and key lock procedure laying AM2 mats. Key lock shown figure 11 to 10 through 11 and 18 consists of the following steps. 1. Start the key lock transverse center line of the runway 9 foot. Starter key lock should laid in the outer ends of the runway. Remove the socket head screw from the key lock to allow extended locking bars next lock section. 2. Place 12 foot starter key lock next to the line 9 foot section. Move the 12 foot section and begin for the 9 foot section again. Adjust the locking bar of the socket head screw. Secure the locking bar into each section. Procedure section 9 foot starter key lock, 12 foot starter key lock is shown. Detail L figure 1110. 1110 shows the place starting key locks on the transverse center. You have a 3 foot starter key lock temporarily laid aside. Edge of the runway mating foot, 9 foot starter key lock, 12 foot starter key lock. Locking bar, runway transverse center line, and starter key locks locked together. Detail A. 3. Repeat laying 6 more 12 foot sections, 1 3 foot section. Starter key locks complete the 96 foot width runway. Note initially lay several transverse row of the A2 matting one direction only with the starter key lock. The mating is started with the both side with the starting key lock. Seesaw flip force could result in disturbing alignment of the entire field. With the non-skid side of the mat turned up and the upward prongs on the right and aligned with the first mat, half mat on the left side with the starter key lock and aligned with downward prongs at the runway edge, hook the female edge into the groove on the starter key, the figure 11-12, while holding the mat in angular position, rotate the mat downward to form the joint, see figure 11-12. 5. Lay the second all successive mats some of the way at the first mat 11-11. The relation start of the key of the downward prongs and second mat should mate with the upturned prongs of the first mat shown figure 11-13. When the mats are properly engaged, rectangular slot is formed, engagement end connectors. Stick lock the first and second mats together as shown figure 11-14. Insert the locking bar figure 11-15. Note the first two mats all match first rows should be aligned accurately before inserting the locking bar. Missing alignment mats will prevent proper installation of the second row. Locking bars may stick. Our 11-11 shows placing first and second mats. You have the half mat temporarily laid aside. Edge runway matting field starter key lock secondary mat. Alright, shows the engaging first half of the mat and the half-length starter key, the male edge starter key lock, and first row female edge first mat unit first row mat position prior to rotation. Typical lock position matting in the key locks mat rotated blocking position because of the natural waviness. The manufactured mat end connectors locking bars are few with the lap and light taps of the hammer should drive the bar into the proper position. 7. Place the third mat start with the second row shown figure 11-16 and shift the third mat which is aligned with the left side of the mat in preceding row. Refer to figure 11-12 with the step of the engagement and proceed with the same engagement over the third mat with the first and second mat. Note the first row over the mats alternately row they are laid as using half mats outer edges runway full mats between 11-6 so they are second row mats alternate row mats therefore laid using full mats only. Method provides a staggering joint to greater mating strength. Complete the first row and installing 6 more full-length mats. Finally, a half mat using the procedure described as in second mat in step 5. Note the first row mats opposite side of the starter key lock row are all full mats. Figure 11-6. Caution: aligning the first row accurately will state the guidelines delineating the extent of the mating and work progress. Periodically check alignment of the maps already installed and a misalignment cover the displacement of the runway plane position for the far end of the field. 9. Install the second and third succeeding rows according to the procedure for the third mat, first mat, and secondary row. One notable exemption: in the second mat, each row must be hooked to. Shows the second mat downturn prong, end connections, male edge connection, mated engine slot, locking bar, engagement with the first and second mats. Locking first and second mat using lock bar. You have the second mat and locking bar starter key first mat edge of the runway mating and half mat. Figure 11-15 shows the insertion locking bar first mat male edge first second mat end max locking bar. Shows the 11-16 placing third mat in full length. First mat, second mat, starter key lock, runaway transverse center, mat, therefore mat engagement, third mat full length, first mat, second mat, edge of the runaway at mating field, half mat, temporary laid aside. Proceed road while being held at an angle 11-12 of the match must be aligned so the rotated downward end connectors must be made properly shown figure 11-13. Note the mats are designed with a parent with a loose fit. This allows the expansion also allows natural waviness of the entirely extruded mat section. Because of this, possible have the row of mats installed with misalignments as to prevent proper engagement. One or more of the mats to follow the row with such conditions exerted with the form and the method of the correction shown figure 11-17. Locking bars are maybe the temporary space between the rows to prevent this or place with the locking bar edge of the end of the two mats joining the arrow ends. All 3 or 4 rows have been laid in either the locking space or proceed with the remainder of the runway. Taxiway remove the spacer from the furthest row, evening row with just laid. Caution, if it becomes necessary, just mating with a sledge, always place a wooden block. Art 11-17 show the correction of misalignment using a wooden block to prevent deformation edge of the sledgehammer. A tight fit, a loose fit in the block against the mating edge of the trekking is shown in figure 11-17. 10 every 100-foot install the new typical key locks and mating field with a 9-foot type key lock outer edge of the runway field male end of the key lock aligned with the first mate of the preceding row. Figure 11-18 engaged female 11-1 engaged female edge of the typical key lock male edge of the mate. Preceding row similar to 11-12 in step 4. Place 12-foot typical key lock next to the installed 9-foot typical key lock. Move 12-foot section against the 9-foot section first. Engage the female edge of the key lock with the male edge. First 2 mats preceding row. Raise the socket. Head screw to the male end of the 9-foot key lock until the thread hole in the female end of the 12-foot key lock is aligned. Screw to the socket head screw with the 9-foot key lock. Line for the socket key head screw wrench. You see detail A figure 11-18 show the typical key lock secured together, repeating laying 6 or more 12-foot section, 3-foot section, all the typical key locks, complete 96-foot section of the runway. No after laying a row of typical key locks every 100 feet. Continue the AM2 mating and according to step 4 through 9 to the ends of the runway. Runaway approach aprons are required at each end of the main runway. The aprons are ramps made of the placed to prevent the tall hook of low. 11-18 shows placing typical key locks on mating field. You have the 9-foot typical key lock edge of the runway, last mat row, and 12-foot mat. See detail 12-foot typical key lock. Detail A shows the typical key lock connection. Incoming aircraft engaging, hooking onto the edge of the runway. See figure 11-19. Aprons constructed with a brickwork type pattern for maybe the entirely half of the length units extended across the full width of the runway. End of the apron shall be civil distance to 18-20 inches before the normal ground level. The ground surface between each mat should be shaped to provide full contact across the mat. After installation of the ramp, excavation should be backfilled with the ramp covered with the normal ground level. The backfill should be tampered and compacted. Installation of the ramp and starting into the runway can be readily accomplished, although installation proceeds slightly different. Place with the side connected to under the overhanging lip with the first row mat unleft until the contact is made. The mat is then rotated downward. We'll keep the 2 mats in contact looking bars installed as described previously. Mat and ramps are at the end of the runway. Laid hard surfaces of concrete, smooth with a patch of surface to the other. Edge connection between the ramp and the mat section, if the same as with the 2 rows made with the ramp is fabricated with aluminum extrusion, provided with a welded inch with an extension plate, drilled and taped to allow the ramp section with a joint and anchored figure 11-20. When installing mat and ramps, they should view the following procedure. Install the first wrap of the right hand center corner looking toward the opposite end of the runway. Next, wrap it adjacent and trim the holes in the overlapping plate with the ramp line up with the threaded insert of the ramp and matting ramp. Insert 5 flat head screws in each ramp with the line elements provided in the toolbox and apply anti-seize compound to the line screw threads. To the next, use the locking bearing edge between the ramp and the edge of the mats to ensure the alignment is straight. 3 ends of the ramp so place and screw together with the drill holes and concrete leg screw shield using the holes of each ramp at the top of the drill hole to 5/8 of inch diameter, 3 inches in deep with the drill bit from the toolbox for insert with the expansion shield into The hole drilled in concrete, insert the lag bolt washer into the extended counter bored hole. Tighten the lag bolts with the offset square box end wrench with a toolbox complete with the ramp installation as shown. Mat laying procedure for the guide rail, sequence installing AM2 mats related with the components of the guide rail catapult system required shown figure 1122. Guide rail divides the runway into 18-foot and a 78-foot end of mat runway level, and shows laying the runway mat approach. Half the length of the mats optional. Backfill normal ground level 18 inches to 24 inches. Figure 1120 shows the mat end ramp. 1121 shows placement of the map end. See detail interlocking end ramp. Section laying of the matting should proceed one of the direction from one end of the runway. Laying the guide rail mats are related to the components as follows. Note, the instructions presented here are 98 and 6-foot runway, but they are applicable to 48 foot runway. Establishes the guide rail center used for the transit. 2. Install the first guide rail with the dowel pins facing the opposite of the direction of the length of the guide rail. With the first guide rail should be 9 feet in length. To prevent alignment with the guide rail joint with a mat joint. Install the next 4 guide rails, 10-foot rail with spacer seals, gouges between the guide rail joints before driving the dowel pins. Check with the proper position of the pins, guide rails, even in the gauge. Note as guide rails mats are laid, visible depressions in the grade shall be filled with rakes from the applicable hand tools. Insert transit target in the center slot of the guardrail perimeter alignment each rail. Lay 18-foot section AM2 mating as shown figure 1122. Insert the mating lock bars between guide rail and the map. Insert the transient target into the center of the slot with the guide rail. Make the final alignment. Shift the 5 guide rail attachments. Guide rail mats must be shifted to pounding edge guide with rail or mat with a wooden block or mallet. Guide rail center should not vary more than 1/4 inch and 50 feet. In the horizontal direction, no more than 1/8 of an inch and 12 feet. In the vertical direction, determined by a 12-foot straight edge. Straight edge should be moved at 6-foot increments. Alright, this shows the AM2 installation sequence with guide rails for the 96-foot wide runway. Alright, 7. Begin to lay the 70-foot wide foot matting for the length of the guide rail, mating in line with the step 6 of the transverse matting. Red joints should not be very more than 3 inches between the 18-foot and 78-foot wide section runway, where the joints are guide rail on the map. Installation 78-foot wide side may be behind the guide rail. 18-foot side should never be installed beside the guide rail if not yet been aligned, according to step 6. 8. Install the next 5 guide rails. Guide rail joints should never be closer than 3 inches reference for the transverse mat. Ensure 3 inches between the mat and the guide rail joint. Substitute with the 9-foot length of the guide rail. 10-foot guide rail laying mat and the 18-foot side, then 78-foot side. Continue installing runway until 100 feet of the mating has been laid. Note a minimum of 10 gap gauges should be remain installed with the prior rear of the guide rail dowel pins being installed. Alright, every 1,000 feet, install the typical key lock off the runway. Typical key locks cannot be secured until the guide rail card cut key, the 6-foot section necessary to ease the installation. 8-foot, 78-foot set guide rail reference selection discussed in the previous chapter of the mat laying procedures. Alright, shows the 10-30-23 lane guide rail mats, 3-inch maximum allowed with mat misalignment section through guardrail. Without the guardrail in the steps 10 and 11, the typical installation key locks in the field. 10. Install the approach aprons, both ends of the runway, 90-degree connectors to join the approach of the aprons field mating C 1124 connectors. Non-skidding tops for the 1124 90-degree connector. 12-foot along the 8 section will allow the relievable movement and slight misalignment between the adjoining section of the mating. Field laying procedure. Sequence of laying one in the entire field is followed. The main runway, lateral taxiway, the taxiway with a parallel to the runway, the parking stand, the storage area with above the sequence of modified with the insert of the gating time of the overall installation, laying in the main runway, and parallel runway at the same time when the lateral taxiway parking area can be installed. Alright, caution. In later procedures used, the distance between the runway parallel to the taxiways must be carefully controlled. Some of the mid-width of the 2 feet gap of almost 1 foot could occur at each of the interconnecting lateral taxiway gap with the lateral taxiway. With the long taxiway runway should not exceed 2 inches. Runway taxiway connections install with a W degree connection for the edgeway of the runway point with the lateral taxiways will connect with the runway. 90-degree connector may be either the other points of the two mat lateral pattern laying patterns of the 90-degree each of they are to be joined. Note: 90-degree connectors can be used in connecting into lateral taxiway to the long taxiway as also. Two procedures installing 90-degree connectors as follows. Procedure number 1, where the adjoining pattern has not been played, install sufficient number of 90-degree connectors along with the 2-foot edge of the mating, such from the edge of the runway edge to the width over the taxiway. Other sections adjoining halfway length mat, and then the first 90-degree connector end of the mat matches the end of the connector. Engage prongs of the full length mat into the prongs half length and with the previous laid end of the push and engagement with the 90-degree connector. You lay mats above the manner under the service rung with the completed length of the 90-degree connectors. Additional mats may then be laid in the usual manner. C11 to 25. Procedure number 2, where the adjoining mat pattern has already been laid, adjust the few rows mating in the taxiway as so the space. So 1125, so the number 1 90-degree connectors is the mat and the taxiway construction direction 90-degree connectors. Procedure number 2, 90-degree connectors, 1 inch, 2 and an inch gap, 90-degree connectors, taxiway construction direction, midpoint mark. Between the runway and the taxiway, between 1 and 2 inches of the plate with the 90-degree connector in position, shown figure 1126. Use the sledgehammer and wooden block, drive it into the position. Most efficient method to drive with a 90-degree connector either edge toward the center of the taxiway, make it the near bend point 12-foot length of the mat. Drive with the first connector into the marked position. Remaining 90-degree connector automatically established. Care must be made with the driven connector, but not always of the degree scope of the former edges. Insulation tie down. Tie downs are provided with the aircraft anchor that they are shipped in the package container shown in the individual container. Is 120 tie downs pull the screw plus screws and drilling, taping the equipment necessary to install the tie downs. When tie downs are to be installed, start with the drill, tapping AM2 batting on each of the prongs down, connector drill 2 holes to each of the tie down retainer. Using tools from the tie down container, proceed with drilling as follows. Screw the sleeve of the 2 of the 5/16 of an inch drill, the set screw of the drill fixture that is shown operation 1. Figure 1129 orientation sleeve to ensure the setting of the set screw of the body diameter of the drill. 2. Position the drill fixture shown on the operation 1129 or drill opening hole shown on the proper depth of the tame of the sleeve contact bushings. Insert the pilot through the drill hole bushing the drill. The hole drill the second hole is shown in the operation 3. Figure 1129. 1127 the drill of the tie down the ring and the ring retainer. 1128 show the tie down container, tie downs and screw drills, tips, tapping on the drill fixtures. Tap a hole 3/8 of an inch and 16 threads per inch, unified course class 3B fit. Finish with the bottom tap obtaining 9/16 minimum full thread length. Store the sleeve and then pilot in the hole provided the screw of the set screws. After drilling completed, screw of the ring, retainer 2 socket head screws. Parking and storage area. The parking and storage area should be installed with the next man. Locking bars installed with the same man with the runway taxiway. So if the tagger joint prepare pattern is not mandatory, it means for the area of the may be built up and pattern that all leftover half length, full length mats can be used with a 90-degree connector should be installed between these parking storage area the ackways. According to the procedure outlined earlier, install the tie downs mating in these areas shown in figure 1130. Blast deflector installation to shield the park ground area of the round taxiway parking or areas. Blast effects for the aircraft and install of the blast effectors is required to assemble the blast effector adapters to the boundaries of the mating that will be or 1129 show the drawing, the jig, and the insulation tie down. Operation 1, fixture and sleeve and bit. Operation 2, sleeve and bit. Operation 3. 1130 show the tie down AM2 mating, ring retainer socket head screws, prongs down into the AM2 mat. Either male edges, female edges pressing down on the prong ends of the type of adapters are supplied with fit every one joint. Every AM2 mat exposed with the upturned edge of the adapter provided blast shield used with adapter support. AM2 mat figure 1131. Mat repairing. During the use of the field, mat may become damaged, require repair overhaul. Some of the repairs may be necessary covered if they are called upon. Make the repairs other than those. Figure 1131 shows insulation blast detector adapter mats. Type 1, Type 1, Type 2, Type 3. Individual mat replacement. Individual mats damage cannot be satisfactorily repaired. Damage to AMT mat may be cut out, insulation replaced with a replacement mat assembly. Replacement mat is shown figure 1132. The replacement mat allowed with the replacement damaged mat with the replacement item to duplicate the original insulation. These mats are complete with a non-skid cutting replacement mat. A repaired AM2 mats cutting off the prongs edge of the male connector, edge of the welding and adapter. Additional adapters may be both at the time of the installation. Please damaged mat with a replacement mat assembly valve. The procedure allows cut out the damage of the complete removal of the effect of the damage surrounding the mats was accomplished by the even portable circular saw. Say with a 2-inch tap cut. Cut should be made aligned with the male edge prong up connectors. Socket head cap screw, the adapters upper, middle, lower clamps, male connector, socket head screw, locking bar, adjusting hole set screw, saw cut lines, and then end connecting prongs down, saw cut, end connecting prongs up, a female edge, saw cut, male edge. Ensure all of the recesses of the mats are surrounded. Repair areas clean. Use a broom and a brush to remove any debris. Remove the male connector adapters. Replace the evening socket head screws, wrench for the pallet. Be careful to retain the dowel pin lower adapter, figure 1134. Place the lower adapter prong, lower pro prongs down on end of the adjacent mat A. Keep the dowel pin up. Place the middle over the upper adapter's lower adapter of the dowel pin locating the device. Ensure the locking bar tongue, middle adapter locking bar slot mat A. Upper adapter prong mats, upper prongs down with the end adjacent map A. Place male connectors into the female connector adjacent map C and B and C. See view C of figure 1134. Place female connector edge replacement over the groove of the male connector and the adjacent mats E and F. Same manner, AM2 mats are connected. Gently lower the replacement mat into place. Be careful to lift the dowel pin's hole in the connector's adapter of the male connector adapter into the groove of the male connector C of views A and C. Align the holes between the upper and middle lower adapters. The connector adapter dowel pin will provide at least approximate alignment, although some of the minor shift of the replacement of the pry bar may be necessary. Insert for the tighten the 4-socket hide screw with the 5/16 with the box wrench provided. Place the clamp over the male connector line hold of the accomplished sliding of the clamp, the adapter groove, the insert of the tighten 10-socket and head screws with 5/16 inch wrench on view C. 1341 replacement mat insulation. Alright, using the 5/32 socket head screw wrench for losing the 2-section retaining the locking bar, the insert of the screwdriver, similar instrument of the hole of the next set screw for the forcing locking bar to over the mat deep as far as possible. This will lock the replacement mat with a clear set screw for the hole of the bottom set screw over the locking bar remains plain and set view D of the figure 11. Section runway replacement. Section runway replacement may be required with a group of mats damage for the envelope repair except for the mat deflection roughness due to the cavities of the mats must be carried. Procedure replacing section runway essentially same without the guide rail with the installation of the guide rail install with the removal of the typical key lock sections or will proceed average runway regardless of which side of the guide rail repair is taking place. Without the guide rail with the star key locks used, typical key locks must be removed. Right end edge of the runway or taxiway when facing edge of the runway with the transverse center line. This edge of the runway exposed with the female end of the key lock and the special removal tool is inserted. Placement section of the runway is accomplished in following. Manual remove the first typical key lock action, loosening socket head screw with the first inboard connection screw only need to loosen until the female end of the joining lock and about 7/16 of the main screw head should not be further since the designated self-retaining assembly can be affected the person. To insert prong, remove the tool under the turned up down female connector slide with the key lock in position to make it 1135. Note that the initial 3 and 6 foot key lock sections will be pried out since the exposed nearly unfinished cross-sectional cut will not accept the removal tool. Loosen the next head subsequent connectors scrap previously removed the remaining key lock section distortion minimal. You may be able to remove more than one key lock section at a time. Using a block and pry bars to lift the first row high mats high enough to allow the locking bars to clear. Each mat has one pry bar. All pry bars should be operated at the same time for the full width of the runway for the taxiway to prevent warping of the mats. Mats will readily hinge at the first longitudinal mat joint. Note if the guide rail has been installed with adjacent, may be cut parallel to the guide rail. This cut must be made in to serve the locking bar to allow locking bar end connector to be removed with the guide rail. 5 with the row mats with raised the insert of the bent rod locking bar. Remove the cat each locking include the bar securing cut piece guide first row mating. Then disassemble and remove figure 1136. Alright, with the 6 with the clearance been down to provide with the removal of the remainder of the matting, additional guide rail with the necessary for the effect with the repair may be readily accomplished. Remove the cut P for the guide rail after the repair, remove the locking bars, disconnect the guide rail pins, use the pin remover, slide the guide rail out of the mat, 7 them repair with the ground surface the necessary for the void, and some of the guide rail, and the news refurbished matting, install the procedure, make sure they're the same with the original installation, replace locking bars. Then reinstall mating of the repair until the last row of the mating in place. At this point, the row of the mating and is raised in unison with the pry bars to permit installation of locking bars. 10. It will not be necessary to insert locking bars between the guide rail adjacent mats for this row. Therefore, a replacement mat should be installed with the next guide rail. Locking bars built into the replacement mat. 10. So for the typical key locks reverse order in which the were taken out, always use the wood block between the hammer and connector if the force is necessary to drive the section in place. Excessive mat deflection, and roughness can be attributed to the cavities under the mats. Can be repaired in the following manner. 1. Remove all the mat shell except the wear deformation according to the instruction given earlier. 2. Fill all the cavities under the mats, core cavities with old matting. All should be reinforced available to matting M9, M1, M9, M2, AM1, damaged AM2 mats. Mats at the bottom layer may be joined together to save the materials manpower. Advisable to have the reinforcement mat touching, but not imperative of the mats of the bottom layer. Interlock the mats of the bottom layer must be placed along the dimension of the mats or right angle of the mats of the top layer. Double layer of the matting should be considered in all cases where sandy areas can cause excessive mat roughness due to the movement of the sand. 3. Replace the top layer of the matting according to the instructions given earlier. Before proceeding, note that a heavy-duty mat as shown figure 1137 has been developed. Alright, let's cut the tape there.